How's it going, guys and girls? Hope you guys are having a great week. So I'm back today with another video. This is kind of a news information slash opinion video. So as many of you know, and if you didn't hear, back in November there was a lot of controversy with Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I pretty much did kind of a rage video where I was talking about why I decided to boycott EA just because of their bullshit practices in terms of loot boxes, microtransactions, and everything that they had sort of introduced with Star Wars Battlefront 2, Need for Speed Payback, and so on. And I decided, and I said, you know, I'm not buying any EA games. I'm completely boycotting it. And at that time in November, there was a lot of controversy and there was a lot of backlash against EA, and it was really, really great to see. And it seemed like things were finally happening that were sort of making it clear to EA that these selfish, anti-consumer policies, you know, were really unacceptable. So at that time, I think Disney stepped in and basically ordered EA to put a stop to basically temporarily stop the microtransactions that were happening in the game and the pay-to-win element of the game, mostly because it was tarnishing Disney's reputation and the reputation of Star Wars, which when The Last Jedi was set to come out in December was a PR nightmare. Then of course we had a lot of politicians taking interest in it and actually investigating into loot boxes and whether loot boxes are a form of gambling and should therefore be made illegal. And EA's stocks and prices did fall quite significantly. So EA's stock price, as a consequence of all this backlash, actually fell by 8.5%, and they lost $3 billion in value from this entire fiasco. Also, the US sales in November, when Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out, the physical game unit sales actually declined by 52% versus 2015's Star Wars Battlefront. So it really seemed like people were finally taking notice, that people were finally speaking with their wallets, and that, you know, we all know that EA is only bothered about money. That is all they're concerned about. So we finally thought maybe this will cause enough damage to EA that they'll start to actually re-look at how much of a risk it is for them to put in loot boxes and microtransactions, and, you know, maybe a few years down the road, eventually that kind of bullshit practice will start to sort of fizzle out. Well, I read an article today, guys, and you can tell from the title of this video, which basically has completely disappointed me and shot all of that directly in the face. And that is Sony recently have released some statistics from their sales and downloaded games in December. Now, according to official data from Sony, Star Wars Battlefront 2 was actually the most downloaded game on PlayStation Store in Europe during December, and was the third most popular downloaded game in the US. Now in Europe, I think the top five, number one was Star Wars Battlefront 2, number 2 was FIFA 2018, number 3 was Call of Duty World War 2, 4 was GTA 5, and 5 was Need for Speed Payback. And in America, number 1 was Call of Duty World War 2, number 2, Gang Beasts, which I've never heard of, number 3, Star Wars Battlefront 2, number 4, GTA 5, and number 5, Madden NFL 18. So in that top 5 games in Europe, pretty much 4 of those games are EA produced. And when you see those statistics, it's just really disheartening that people decided to buy the game in December, decided to go ahead and download it, despite all the loot boxes, despite all the microtransactions and all the controversy surrounding it in the news. So why is that? You know, how do we account for that? Because when I look at that, I'm just like, I cannot understand people that would decide to buy the game for knowing what it is. You know, maybe these people didn't know what it is, and maybe that is the reason. Maybe that the reason that people started downloading it in December was kind of a ricochet off of the success and the hype surrounding The Last Jedi. Maybe, you know, there was so much hype and excitement around that movie in December, and of course in the trailers prior to the movie, Star Wars Battlefront 2 was advertised everywhere. So maybe, you know, people are like, oh, you know, I want to keep playing Star Wars, I want to keep exploring that world. Oh, we've got free DLC coming in December which focuses on The Last Jedi, and maybe that hype and the success of the movie kind of overshadowed the controversy and sort of pushed the game front and center in terms of marketing, and maybe that was enough for people to actually decide to pick it up and play it. Maybe the Christmas holidays and all those parents that were buying PlayStation 4s or buying games for their children, of course, were under a lot of pressure. Maybe their kids were like, I really want Star Wars Battlefront 2. I mean, I overheard several, you know, mothers and fathers in conversation just in the street talking about the fact that they had to buy it for their son because he really wanted to play it. And I just wanted to turn around and just say, listen, you don't want to subject your child to this. This is gambling in a video game, and it's something that's very dangerous, and you don't want your child to go down that route. But of course, you know, it's their pockets, their decision, their parents at the end of the day, and they really should be doing research on the games that they're going to buy for their children. And maybe it was because of the sales, because PlayStation Store had a huge sale across the lead up to Christmas, as well as the January sales. And, you know, I think the game was reduced to £30 on the PlayStation Store. So when it's £50 as a physical form in the shops and you can get it for £30 digitally, of course it's going to seem a lot more appealing. So the statistics basically speak for themselves. So what does this mean in terms of the future? Well, unfortunately, it's not looking great. Basically, EA are a scum. EA are a corrupt company, and the CEOs, the people in charge of EA, they're stockholders. They're only bothered about money and statistics and figures, and these figures unfortunately show that Star Wars Battlefront 2 was very popular and very successful, even given all the controversy in the news. And maybe the fact that it was controversial in the news is what's put it to the forefront as well. And it's just really disheartening when you see this kind of thing happening. And you know, I really thought that we turned the corner. I really thought that things were going to start to change, and that, you know, other developers and other producers would have a look at the debacle that was Star Wars Battlefront 2, would have a look at the backlash by gamers against EA and how much it costs them, you know, in terms of their stock price falling, and would actually sort of go, do you know what? Loot boxes and microtransactions are too dangerous for us. Let's have another look at how we're going to sort of develop our games and what we're going to go down. And so these statistics are they're just really disappointing. They're really disappointing and disheartening. And I'm really interested to hear obviously what your opinion is on it, why you think it's still the top of the sort of charts for downloaded games, what the reasons are behind that, you think, and what's your general thought on it. Well, in terms of my boycott of EA, it is going to continue. I'm still adamant that I cannot support anything that EA do. I cannot support the greedy, anti-consumer, anti-gamer practices that they put out there. EA do not give a shit about the quality of their games, how good their games are, and how rewarding they are for their gamers. They only care about making money, unfortunately. They're a greedy corporation. Now, I did say that one of the games I wanted to play this year and was on a potential sort of playthrough series was A Way Out. And I will be honest, you know, I did have a comment by one of my subscribers, Ludio, who did actually sort of say, well, are you aware that's an EA title? And I'll be honest with you, I actually forgot that that game is produced by EA because it's an indie title. You know, it's a smaller game. It's only $24.99. It's by Hazel Light Studios, and all the videos I watch, you know, by Josef Fares, and the gameplay just looked really exciting, and this guy looked really passionate about the game and really excited for it and was trying to do something new. And you know, half of me wants to support that. You know, part of me wants to support that, wants to pick up the game, wants to play it, wants to do a review of it. And you know, it seems like the game is just a purely sort of single player story, you know, co-op experience, that it's not going to have multiplayer, that it's not going to have microtransactions, which is a complete shock for EA, because EA doesn't release games unless they have multiplayer. But obviously, I guess A Way Out, because of its cooperative play, technically would be classed as multiplayer, even though it's not what we associate with that. But I'm not sure now, especially after this. I kind of feel like I should, you know, put my foot down more, and then I'm not getting Anthem. I'm not supporting Anthem, which for me is huge news for me, because I'm a massive BioWare fan. I've played all the BioWare games. I have never not bought a BioWare game since the first Mass Effect. You know, that's how much of a huge BioWare fan I am. So for me to turn around and say I'm not picking up Anthem, I'm not doing videos talking about Anthem or promoting it, because I think EA have destroyed it, and I think it's gonna have microtransactions, and I think it's gonna have loot boxes and all these things that I cannot support. So I'm not going to be getting Anthem, which is pretty big news for me. But in terms of Way Out, I'm really divided. I'm really torn, and I'm so angry at EA for putting me in this position, feeling that I have to stick to my convictions because I can't support anything that they do. But I feel bad, you know, for this indie studio that's doing something new and different, and I want to support that. So, you know, I'm really undecided on it. I'm going to wait for it to come out and see what the reviews say. And you know, I'm also interested to see what your opinion is on this, guys. What do you think? Do you think I should boycott A Way Out and not play that game? Or do you think I should let it have a pass because it doesn't have microtransactions in it or multiplayer? Or just generally, what are your thoughts on it? Because I am so torn, and I really don't know what the best thing is to do going forward. But in terms of EA practices, I will not support any bullshit with microtransactions and loot boxes and online only multiplayer bullshit that they have had in most of their games in 2017, and I'm not going to continue to support that. So my boycott of EA will continue, and you know, I guess we'll see what's going to happen in the future. I'm hoping that I really want politicians and governments to, I want them to have a look at loot boxes in video games, because I do think, especially if it's pay to win, it is a form of gambling, and it does need to be regulated, especially when it comes to young sort of children and young impressionable youths that, you know, are not used to this level of addiction and could find themselves, you know, developing really sort of harmful personal habits, and, you know, and gambling and addiction and so on. So anyway, that's just kind of a little random rant. You know, sometimes you've got to do these kinds of videos, and it's just to share with you guys this news that's hit recently, and just generally see what your opinions are on it and what your thoughts are on it. Anyway, please share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you found the video interesting, please of course hit the like button as always to show your support. I'll be back again with more videos coming up in the future. Currently working on my Shadow of War review, and that will be hopefully coming within the next week. Stay tuned for that and more. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a great week. Take care, and as always, happy gaming.